election. Does it concern you perhaps that there are other opposition groups that are still trying to get themselves established, that need more time to do that? Otherwise, a group like the Muslim Brotherhood, as some people fear, will have more power in all of this?
Yeah, that's a real concern here. Will other political parties have a chance to develop and form and build their constituencies? Right now, we just really have the Brotherhood, the old ruling party, and a few smaller liberal parties that don't really have much sway with the Egyptian people, like Al-Wafd or Al-Ghad. So that is a big concern, and I don't really know if it's a question of 6 months and 12 months. What I think has to happen is that these parties have to be encouraged to form. They have to have full freedom to reach out to Egyptians, to have access to the media, and that has to start right away. And it's not starting yet, and that's where I think there's some concern about how much the military is willing to facilitate a political environment that's conducive to the building of political parties.
All right, we are out of time, gentlemen. We want to thank both of you for taking part in the discussion. Shadi Hamid and Hussam El Hamalawi, many thanks for your time. And thank you so much for joining us here on this edition of Inside Story. As always, you can take part in the debate yourself. We welcome your comments and suggestions. You can email them to us anytime at insidestory@aljazeera.net. Bye for now.
The relocation of the Ahmadiyya has magnified the issue of religious intolerance in Indonesia. Is this inevitable in a multicultural society? And is the government turning a blind eye? 101 East at this time on Al Jazeera.
From local traders to international finance, it's commerce that makes the world go round. For global companies and developing markets, communication is the currency, and information is the most valuable commodity. Counting the cost at this time on Al Jazeera.
The Golan Heights, one of the spoils of the 1967 war, home to 20,000 Israelis and source of 1/3 of all Israel's water. But what of the Syrians left behind? With families torn apart and all borders closed, they come to talk to their loved ones across the Shouting Valley. Across the Shouting Valley on Al Jazeera.
A debilitating condition afflicting millions of women across the developing world.
Sometimes it is not possible to cure a patient with fistula. We have to prepare her psychologically.
Revealing the human stories behind fistula and its intimate connection to poverty. A powerful new series exploring global maternal health. Birthrights, at this time on Al Jazeera.
Libyan rebels regroup in the east as reports come in of a new air attack by pro-Gaddafi forces. Hello, I'm Darren Jordan. This is Al Jazeera live from Doha. Also coming up, the scramble to leave Libya, the plight of foreign workers who say they're stuck because their governments aren't helping. It's a new day of protest across the Arab world. Tens of thousands are expected to keep up the pressure for reform. These are live pictures from the Egyptian capital, Cairo. And China will spend almost 13% more on its military this year, but Beijing assures its neighbours it's not a threat. Welcome to the programme. It's just after 10 a.m. in Libya, where rebel forces are regrouping after airstrikes on Thursday failed to force them away from a key oil terminal at Brega. But the Reuters news agency is now reporting a new air attack on Friday. It's quoting witnesses who say a Libyan warplane dropped a bomb on Friday near a base held by rebels in the eastern town of AlJazeera. Another rebel fighter there told Reuters 2 rockets had been fired at the base, but also missed. And we're working now to confirm those reports. Well, These pictures taken earlier in AlJazeera showed rebel reinforcements arriving and arming themselves. Witnesses say hundreds have gathered there in recent days from across the east of the country. A son of Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi says Thursday's airstrikes near Brega were meant to scare rebels away, not kill them, but it didn't work. Anti-government forces remain in the area. US President Barack Obama has called for Gaddafi to go now, but while saying all options are on the table, would not commit to enforcing a no-fly zone. Around 180,000 people have evacuated Libya since the violence began over 2 weeks ago, most of them by land over the borders into neighbouring countries. More than 90,000 have fled to Tunisia, and the same goes for Egypt. Nearly 80,000 are registered as crossing there. Another 2,500 people have crossed at the Niger border too. But while agencies are warning of a growing humanitarian crisis for these refugees, thousands more people are stuck inside the country, still trying to get out. Tony Bertie sent this report from Benghazi.
A few possessions in their bags and the clothes on their backs. Migrant workers in Libya on the move, looking to escape somebody else's conflict. These feel destitute and abandoned. The lucrative jobs in an oil-rich country lost in the uprising. At the docks in Benghazi Thursday, yet another boat stands by to collect its human cargo. This time, 600 Syrians board the Captain Abdullah. But in recent days, vessels from China, Vietnam and Europe have come to collect its nationals.
أكيد شعور جميل يعني هذا ماشي على بلده بيكون شعوره جميل شعور جميل.
We've been here for 3 days, he says. It feels very good to go. At the peak, up to 10 boats a day were setting sail from here, with migrants desperate to flee the danger. More than 30,000 migrant workers have left from this port in the last week. The exodus is slowing, but still they're coming. Countries from all over the world have remembered their nationals, but there are some, a few, that have been forgotten. In a camp the other side of the harbour, the foreign workers who can't get out, either because they have no money or their governments don't care.
Many country people here, Indian, China, Turkey, but all people go back. But our Prime Minister is no helping.
They survive because of handouts and donations from Libyans, but it's a basic existence. The problems for these men are compounded by the fact they haven't been paid by their company, and that's hurting their families back home.
In some cases, literally dropped everything, including their documents in some cases. So they're travelling home empty-handed. Many are through remittances are supporting quite sizable families back home. And so it's going to have a huge knock-on effect.
There are more than 2,500 migrant workers here and another 1,000 in nearby camps, but that's what they know. It's estimated that the figure is much higher, perhaps by 3 or 4 times. Many workers, especially those from Africa, feel frightened.
Some of us, we are surviving. Some of us, we are dead now. Right now, we are looking for the solution.
That solution is being provided by international organisations now arriving in Benghazi. Most in this camp will be repatriated in the coming days or weeks, but there are still pockets of Indians, Filipinos and Africans unaccounted for. And for now, there is nothing to do but wait and hope the violence doesn't